You know what? As long as we can make it to Diamond every season, then I'm fine. I don't need to hit Mythic. If we can make it to Diamond and we happen to make it to Mythic, cool beans. But aside from that, I'm not gonna stress myself over it. But I get to the point every time I hit Diamond where I'm like, you know, now I want to start playing fun stuff. I don't want to wait till Mythic. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play fun stuff. Oh, I am a spicy sky noodle. What's up, everybody? My name's Chance, and today it's time for Yorion to go to the dark side. It's time for Yorion to do some wrongdoings and join the Mardu team. That's right, today we're playing a sort of aggro mid-range Mardu Yorion deck. That's right, it's not Abzan, it's not Esper, it's not Sultai, it's not Azorius, it's none of those controlling decks. We're talking about good old-fashioned, beat-down, in-your-face aggro, ladies and gentlemen. So where does Yorion play into this whole grand schematic of aggro? Well, actually pretty much just right into it. So in this deck we do have access to the strong cards of white, being Seasoned Luminarch, Giant Killer, all these things that are great interaction and also self-building for your own creatures. It also gives us access to the Yorion. So stick this out with some of the newer cards that we had from Kaldheim, such as Showdown of the Scalds, which is a fantastic saga. You can have it enter, exile the top 4 cards, enter with Yorion, and just rebounce this thing, draw 4 additional cards for the free ski, right? Especially if you can get this down, if you can get Yorion down after the second floor counter procs, then you're getting the additional +1/+1 counters, you're getting the additional card draw, and well, you know, so on and so forth. Furthermore, we have the classics in Rakdos, such as the Akroan War, which again, Yorion coming down, re-entering their Akroan War, same thing with Time Merit, re-entering the Time Merit, all these sagas that are actually really good, really high value, Yorion's just going to keep re-entering them, right? Or rather, re-enter them once, gain you all that value, and go on about his Sky slaying business. Now, some of the new cards we need to touch base on. We have Immersion Predator. This 4-mana 3/3 flying vampire dragon is super hard for the opponent to remove, as it can pretty much at instant speed gain indestructibility. Also, it has the ability to exile cards from either yours or the opponent's graveyard. So all in all, it's like a one-man army tank, right? It just sort of deals with so many decks. It deals tons of damage, and it has flying, which means it starts out evasive as hell. Down here on the bottom end, we do have 1 copy of Village Rites to help us with the creatures that we get with Claim in the Akroan War, right? And of course, since we're going to be using the Akroan War multiple times, ideally with the Yorion, you know, sacrificing the creatures the opponents are given to us is going to be good. We can also sacrifice them with the Predator and with the Woe Shredder that we have in the deck. Not to mention the fact that if we do steal their creatures, they're going to help us reduce the cost of our Embercleave, which means we can get it down sooner, quicker, faster, better, whatever you want to say there, right? So Luminarch Season talked about. Mire Triton does help fill up your graveyard, which is good given we do have an Egon, and you know, we got Lures, so we can play stuff back from the graveyard, all this kind of stuff. We also have Ox of Agonist, which means, you know, this 5-mana 4/2 normal card, you can escape for only 2 mana, get back a 5/3, draw 3 cards, which is all super insane value, especially whenever you're looking at a deck with Yorion, where you can simply play Yorion onto the Ox, re-enter the Ox, and redraw 3 cards. So again, Yorion for the most part, it's not like you're trying to re-enter it 10 million times with this deck. You're really just trying to enter it once, have it bounce and enter all that value again of Showdown, of Akroan, of Ox, and, you know, win off of that card advantage, win off of that value alone. Now, we do actually have 4 copies of Mire Triton. Sorry, I just now noticed that for some reason it put us a copy of Jumpstart in here, which is strange. Anyways, 1 copy of Shatterskull for some additional removal on your opponent's stuff, and I think that's about it. Of course, we have 3 copies of Embercleave to help us deal with stuff, 1 copy of Lotus to help us replay this bottom-end madness, and originally this deck was meant as a best-of-3 deck, but as y'all know, my style is best-of-1. We did it in a best-of-1 deck, and I gotta say, it seemed like it worked perfectly fine and was really perfectly fun. Now, you'll see a few matches where the lands and that kind of stuff are a little wonky. That's sort of what happens when you play an 80 card deck in standard, in best of 1, right? We all know the shuffler on Arena. I'm not going to say it's rigged, but it is certainly in its feeling some days, and rather not so much other days. So if you're having a tough time with this 80 card Yorion deck, maybe you want to try and slim it down to 60 and just throw Yorion into the main board. I think it's definitely still very viable as far as the sagas and all that kind of go, but you will be slowing down yourself as far as effectiveness as you're putting a 5-mana card into your deck that isn't Ox, that isn't Embercleave, that isn't really reducible as far as its cost goes, right? Anyways, thanks you all so much for watching all the way through the deck tech breakdown. If you enjoyed, please just take a quick second, hit that like button, comment down below what you're enjoying about the content here on this specific channel, whether it be the decks, whether it be the commentary, whatever it may be. Comment it down below and let me know so I can can know that, hey, that's a strength of mine. Let's work on the weaknesses. Let's work on the things that didn't get commented about, right? Anyways, thanks again. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here and you want to see more original content right here. And, well, the only place that you can get this level of humor and these level of decks, which, you know, is fun, good, competitive, whatever you want to call them. They are definitely some originals. Now this one, as I said, it's, you know, there was an original creator and it's a best of one or a best of 3 deck. You see a fun deck, you play a fun deck, right? Anyways, enough rambling from me. Let's dive into the match. Storm Chaser. It seems like a fun hand, right? We got Bone Crusher interaction. We have Village Rights to sacrifice, you know, Bone Crusher if it doesn't go so well. And we got Triomes out the wazoo to make sure we're hitting our proper mana. So we'll see. A little slow, I will say, a little slow, but we get to go first, so that's a definite benefit. I'll go ahead and get down the red mana first so we can have access to Bone Crusher. And another Bone Crusher, I won't say no to that. I will not say no to that. There's one thing that I absolutely hate my opponents pulling out, and it is indeed multiple Bone Crushers. So let's see what we get off of our second scry here. Opponent's going to go ahead and use their Fabled Passage. And you know, they actually have the Rakdos King himself over there. 2 Predators. How do I feel about 2 Predators? I actually don't like that. I feel like we'll be trying to juggle them a little too coincidentally at the same time, you know what I mean? So they are also playing, well, probably just a Rakdos deck, right? Probably not Mardu, but still something to be said for it. So we can go ahead and Bone Crusher the Mire Triton if we wanted to. Then we have just 1 leftover mana, or we could go ahead and get down a Triome and Bone Crusher Mire Triton. Seems like a fine plan. Or we could just get down Bone Crusher, but then we probably take the damage from the Mire Triton. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to get this down, and we are indeed going to go ahead and stomp out this Triton. No biggie, no biggie. So, okay, well, no real indication as if they are Mardu or not. Time-Merit Calls the Dead, that's fine. We can deal with these little zombies easier than the Mire Triton, I feel. So we already have double white sources for the Yorion. We have double red thanks to the Triome, and double black thanks to the Triome. I think I want to get down more red sources, so we're going to drop Bone Crusher. And then this will also leave us mana for the Village Rights. I don't really want to Crow and War, that little 2/2 zombie, as I'm sure a lot of you can understand, right? So I think this is the most mana efficient play. Yes, we could have spent 2 mana on our other Bone Crusher to take out their zombie. However, we would have an awkward 2 mana left over thereafter. So I feel like this, we get down a creature, we can defend their 2/2. If they go to remove our 4/3, we can sacrifice it for card draw. So we'll see. They're playing a Predator. Okay. Well, then we need to a Crow and War that sooner rather than later, am I right? Okay. So if we a Crow and War, I don't have any leftover mana thereafter. Which is a little bit of a pain in the ass. But I do indeed feel like we should still a Crow and War. Right? The other option is getting down our own Predator. Or we could, of course, use Bone Crusher, take out one of their zombies, get down Luminarch. Wait for next turn to use the Crow and take their Predator. We can also Village Rights it, if we so choose. So let them know we're thinking. If we take out a zombie, it takes away one of their life gain and one of their scry, which y'all know how much I feel about removing the opponent's effectiveness as far as knowledge goes. I just feel like going all in on the Akroan may not be the best option. So let's stick with this. Let's take out a 2/2. We'll stop their Scryage a little bit. Yes, they get to keep the Predator in the sky, but we know that we have an answer for that in the future. Oh, right. I'm so sorry, everybody. I forget about the Immersion Predator's ability to just immediately eat their own stuff. So that Bone Crusher is going to go to the graveyard. Sorry about that, Crusher. Warm-up game. What can I say? So obviously that was not the best play. Maybe taking the Predator from him was the best play there. Either way, we're going to get to swing it with the Bone Crusher here. Probably for the Freeski, because I highly doubt they block with the 2/2, given they can swing back with it on the next turn. Bam. So yeah, maybe the Akroan War or the Predator was just our best line there. It's alright though, because now we'll untap with 5 mana and we can do, you know, 2 things instead of just having done one on the previous turn. Two mana here. To take out a Triumph, I mean, our mana is fine, honestly. We have double white, double black, double red, triple red, actually. So let's grab another black source. It's a little curious, but I'll take it. You know, now they give us access to the village rights. And I can do this. So, thanks, opponent. Storm Chaser. Giving me the ability to sacrifice that before you took it. And they still take the 2 damage because they still targeted our creature, right? They're going to claim our Luminarch. Alright, well, double claim, sure. Sure. Alright, that one hurt, not going to lie. That one did hurt. Now they sacrifice our Luminarch. Cool beans, foe. Cool freaking beans, man. Now we got to take their Predator for sure, right? Like, that is the absolute answer with which we need. And we'll play down our Predator on the next turn, and we can sacrifice their Predator with our Predator. That's our plan, of course. If they happen to use a Crowan or their own claim to reclaim their Predator and then sacrifice it. Of course, they can't use claim, right? Because it's a 4-mana creature, so they would have to have an Crowan. They just attack and leave it at that? You know, you just want to leave it at that. Storm Chaser, come on. Come on. Time Eric calls it in. All right, we don't mind that. We don't mind that. No Croxus, no Croxus. Ox. Ox is bad too, but they don't have the mana for it here, so it's all right. It is all right. So the problem with us playing our Predator is we're leaving ourselves at 1 open mana, but I guess it is still the best play because I can't get down Luminarch. Their Predator's going back to them on their turn, so let's get down our Predator, hit them with their Predator. Cards I want to exile from their graveyard. Yeah, sure. Let's exile that Ox, huh? That one's scary. Bam! Now they're down to 10. Even the playing field's a little bit. We'll end the turn on that note, I think. They're going to create another zombie here, and they got a Croxo, which is pretty bad for us, but we have a showdown we can spare, I think. I thinketh. Also, if we could manage to get the Yorion over and bounce it, then we could have, you know, a showdown potentially re-enter and have that many more card draws, but it's going to be a little tricky because we're getting low on life, and we know they're probably about to pull that Croxo, right? So it'll be a 6/6 for their board side. We will need to sacrifice their Predator before turn ends, so. Alright, so there goes their Predator. They may have Bone Crushers to take out our Predator here. Nope, gonna let it happen. That's unfortunate for them, because now we just exile the Croxo. And we take out their zombie. Did they play that wrong? Or do they have a trick up their sleeve that I'm not thinking of? Do they have lethal here? Bone Crusher? Play Bone Crusher? That's not lethal. Not quite yet. Alright. So how do we live? How do we ensure that we live? Because they have a Bone Crusher. The Time Merit will give us life gain. Luminarch can give us additional damage on the Predator. Time Merit also gives us a creature. Of course, we could use Season. It's a little bit harder to remove for them, and I think that is the play we should do. So let's go Time Merit. Exile this Mire Triton. Get down Season. That gives us 2 creatures with which to block with, right? Now we got a Bash. Got a Smash and a Bash. Let's take out their creatures from the graveyard. Never know. Never know. So we do have lethal potentially on board. Of course, if they have 2 Bone Crushers, they also have lethal. Just in hand, you know. We'll see though. It all comes down to this. Storm Chaser. Are you chasing the storm or are you just blowing smoke? Bum bum bum. 1 was a land, so they only have 2 cards left in hand. They need 2 Bone Crushers for sure, right? I don't know what else could really save them. I mean, maybe if they have an Embercleave, but I feel like that's a pretty obvious... Okay, so we have to go ahead and tap him, right? So now he can't attack. But if they have removal... Oh, it untaps him. That's a cringe moment. I forget about the untap, so we just gave him Indestructible for free. That's a little oopsies. They definitely have another Bone Crusher. Is that what it is? Valky. Oh, so we're living. We're living and we're winning, I think. They swing in with 2. We block the Giant. Then we have the Crackback. That's GG, ladies and gentlemen. Storm Chaser. Whew. You got my heart racing. But I think we got him in the end, right? Oh, no. They had the 2 mana to turn the Valky. That's it. That's GG. Wow. That's so good. So good. Nothing we could even do. So good. Alright, close game. Radogami? Not sure. But we'll keep this. We have a solid, you know, turn 1, turn 3, turn 4 play. Do I go for the Temple of Silence and save the Giant Killer? No, we can play Temple on turn 2 because we don't have a turn 2 play, and this way we can go ahead and get a creature down. Just sort of sneak it in. That last game was good though. I'll give it to Storm Chaser. They certainly solved the puzzle there. You know, they got lucky with having everything they needed to solve the puzzle with, right? But they did do it. They did put it together in the end. So gotta give them credit. Anyways, we'll see if we can't... No more lands. We got 5. I think we're good for the time being. Giant Killer, you hold back. We're going to need you to tap some creatures in the future. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. Now, I kind of want to get the Yorion over... Oh. Sorry, Giant Killer. I thought that you were here to stay, but you left me in the end. It's all right. We'll get down Egon. We could have also played down the artifact side of Egon. And Bone Crusher, but they have a season, so it's like... Is that the best play? This is 3 mana, draw a card, and only give us a defender for 1 turn, so... It depends. It depends on what they do here, right? Showdown of the Scalds, so they shouldn't really be attacking then, right? Skyclave, Giant Killer, yeah. Alright, so we'll sacrifice, get the card draw. Another Egon, interesting. Interesting. So we do have the Akroan War, we could take their Seasoned Hollowblade. Skyclave can take the Akroan though, so I feel like we shouldn't do that. I feel like the Skyclave is definitely going to come down and take something, right? So we should have Bone Crusher mana ready to create us a creature off of that, which means we need to have at least 2 mana available. So maybe I do this. No, we still have plenty of lands in hand. Do this, we'll play down Egon as the Throne of Death so we can potentially have that card draw in the future. And then we can also have Bone Crusher instant speed to try and deal with their stuff here. Now they're going to put a counter on to the season come next turn. I think what we'll do... So the first card they play, they will put the counter on the season. The second card they play, I have a feeling like they're going to try and put the counter on the season again. In which case, then we will use our Bone Crusher. So they'll have allotted... Oh, they're only playing... Only casting 1. Interesting. Alright, well let's go ahead and bolt this guy. Or shock him, whatever. Crush him. He's gonna go ahead and discard, yep. Give himself indestructibility. Alright. That should be it for him. What are we waiting on? Oh, they have to resolve the seasoned. Right. Alright. Clip of that lawyer who had a cat filter on his Zoom. I think I may have missed that one. Sounds like a good time. There's the Ox, which is cool, but I don't think we can get to it quite yet, right? So we're going to be at 5 mana here. I think we should go ahead and activate the Fabled, start filling up our graveyard a little bit. And we'll grab red mana for sure. Equalize this out, because we have double white, double black. We actually have triple white. There we go. Alright, so we can Accro and War take the Season Hollow Blade. I have a feeling that's what we should do. And then we can Immersion Predator next turn and sacrifice it. This leaves us with 1 mana. Where we go 3 into you, and we don't have anything else to do. Yeah, I think we got to go for the Accro and War, take their Seasoned. And this way they don't have anything to target with the first spell, which would give them 2 +1/+1 counters onto the Seasoned, right? Now we can play our other Egon down as another card miller, and, you know, I think so. I don't think we'll ever... Oh, it's a legendary, but that's fine. I don't think we'll ever... well, I shouldn't say ever. I don't think we will see an opportunity to play that Egon before I want to play this Ox. Does that make sense? So, like, getting down the throne, discarding it, whatever. Perfectly fine. Skyclave. Oh, forgot about Skyclave, right? They're going to take the Accro and War. For some reason, I thought that one got discarded with the first... What's it called? The first Scald. Maul onto the Seasoned, if I had to guess about it. Yeah. Alright, well that's fine, because our Predator can block that thing. So we can get down Predator, we have 1 mana, 2 mana left thereafter. We can get down Bone Crusher, we have 3 mana left thereafter, and we can move Yorion over. I think we gotta get down Bone Crusher, move Yorion. Could also card draw with Throne, but having that Yorion ability available would be really nice for us. Especially if we can get down Ox and then Yorion. Look it up, I promise laughs. Might have to. I feel like Radogami here is playing a copied deck. This has got to be a top tier Boros showdown sort of deck, tournament style. Am I right? All right, so we need our claim. Got to block. Can't afford to not block. Actually, I think this is GG. If I'm being honest. Opponent's got a lot of value over on their side. Oh, yeah, and we keep bricking with these lands. So GG, opponent. El Scorcho, 822. And it looks like they're probably playing Jund Sacrifice or Rakdos midrange, something along those lines, right? Oftentimes that's where you see the Gigantha come into play. So still tap lands for us. There's an untapped. I will keep that one on top. That gives us 4 lands total and an untapped on turn 2, which could either be Seasoned or Bone Crusher damage or whatever. They should take Bone Crusher here so they can't, so I can't just immediately remove their Valky. And of course they do. Next turn they'll probably just turn Valky into Bone Crusher because, Simpleton is as Simpleton do. Just kidding, El Scorcho, don't take it personally. Just kidding. So let's see it. Back to their turn. You play land. Do you turn Valky into Bone Crusher? They definitely don't swing in if they do, but... Okay, definitely what they're eyeing. Woe Strider to create them an extra little Cardarino here. A little goat token, if you will. They shouldn't swing in, or rather they won't swing in, because that's just bad. Bad for them. I think our only option here is to go for the Time Merit. We could also move the Yorion over, I suppose. Two lands and a Giant Killer. That's fine. We can get rid of the Giant Killer. Create another creature. I think we do swing in with the Season. Yeah, they block goat and sack. Resolve. I'm wondering if it is Jund because they have the snow down. Now, don't get me wrong, red has that one snow instant and the snow sorcery. I don't know that that's warrant enough to go full-blown snow, right? We'll see, though. Maybe. So if they try to attack, obviously we trade out here. We don't get the satisfaction. That's unfortunate. All right, milling away our Immersion Predator. We'll exile that Mire Triton, get down another 2/2. Let's get down the Temple and Scry here. Giant Killer is decent up against the Predator if we can time it correctly, so we'll keep that. Now the difficult decision of do we want to move Yorion over and set ourselves up for a potential showdown replay, or do I just want to go for the Luminarch, build up our season, and force them to sort of tradesy with the Predator, right? We can also play down Egon. We do have the cards now to support him, so having a 6/6 on the board could be rather nice. It would also use up all of our mana. Or we go Luminarch plus one side of Egon. Then when we play Yorion, we can flip Egon. That sounds like a more mana efficient play, so we'll see. The only thing I don't like is our mana situation on the next turn of either get down Yorion or either get down Yorion or have mana for Giant Killer, right? Now they don't know that we have the Giant Killer. We know, but they don't. I know something you don't know. Doo-da, doo-da. Or is that Yankee Doodle? So we're gonna sacrifice the zombie here. I'm interested, or not, we're not going to sacrifice the zombie, sorry. They're probably going to sacrifice the Woe Strider here. Do I get rid of the showdown? It's hard for me to say yes to getting rid of a showdown versus a triome, so we'll get rid of the triome. They will sack Strider. Indeed, indeed. Solve. Exile something from my graveyard. Now we'll have to remember we can also potentially use the 3 mana from Throne to exile a card before they exile it, but I think they get the +1/+1 from tapping it. Whenever it becomes tapped, exile and put. Yeah, so it's not exile and then put, it's exile and put. So I don't think exiling the card that they were going to exile will stop the +1/+1 counter for the Predator, which is unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. Kroxa coming down for the foe, another unfortunate thing, but it does make our play next turn a little easier, right? Maybe. Mire Triton. I got another Woe Strider to grab out with. Oh, right, I forget about the Throne to Death milling us a card. So if I keep the Shatter Skull on top and I move Yorion over to my hand this turn and I keep the land in hand this turn and they potentially make us discard by playing their Kroxa next turn, we could still have the mana for the Yorion to come down. But Yorion doesn't have anything really worth bouncing on the board right now, so that's sort of the downside of that. If I go ahead and get Predator on top, we can play it, just hard cast it, and then go for a Predator battle with them. But again, they're going to have a Kroxa to also sort of swing at us with, so. I think we got to hold off on the Yorion. It's just, like, we can go ahead and move it over, or we can potentially go ahead and draw a card. We know they're going to Kroxa next turn, which means we're going to have to discard the land for sure. Alright, well. Then I think we just play the land. If we're going to take the damage either way, right? Sure, we're getting rid of the effectiveness of the Hollow Blade to gain indestructibility. Which means we can't attack here as much as I want to. We're also ensuring that their Kroxa doesn't make us lose any value in discard. We're also still at 22 health, so it's not like we're super low, right? And we can still Yorion flip the Throne of Death. Bone Crusher onto Luminarch, we just gotta take it. Nothing to do or see here. No siree. And another Kroxa. Yep. Alright, they should be all done with their turn. Do they swing in with the Predator, I guess is the question. And yes, is the answer no. Oh, shit, that was my opportunity. God damn it, Chance. You still want to exile the creature that they're exiling, so you're not exiling your entire graveyard in case you see an Ox, right? So, still mess up on my part, but whatever. Whatever. Living and learning. Living, learning, and losing. 3 L's of life. Alright, Bone Crusher is what we put away there. Yeah, again, I think we just play the Predator, play the land. One of these turns we'll be able to just get down that Yorion, plain and simple. But for the time being, let's go Predator. Let's go land. Alright, that should do it for our turn. We can swing in with Season. They're probably going to trade out the Mire Triton if we do that. We can swing in with the 2/2/2s, though. They're going to take the damage. Hey, cool beans. Cool beans. Alright, so they got a lot of cards in the backside to play, but they don't have a big graveyard to necessarily go exiling unless they want to exile, you know, their other creatures in the graveyard. So we'll see what they do. Just get down on Bone Crusher. They still have 2 mana left over, not enough to pull anything out. They can swing it with their Predator, but we just block with our Predator. We each sacrifice creature and blah, 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 blah. So back to my turn. Loader's going to the graveyard, and we're hitting another land. Are y'all seeing a theme here where I mill every freaking playable, and then I draw nothing but lands? Let's go ahead and exile, sorry, a creature from our graveyard and get some card draw here. Maybe we can actually play the spell that we draw. Egonios. Sure. Sure. Now, there's no reason for us to swing in with our Egon. Or our Season, really. Yep, we just gotta stay at this standstill, which is not a fun standstill, if I'm being honest. Knowing that they have Kroxas and Woestriders and all that kind of stuff to play. And the only thing we have in our chamber is a Yorion. With 0 ETB effects available. We also need one more land if we want to actually pull this Yorion over and then immediately cast it down, which is, for the most part, what we need to do. Now, if I go ahead and sack and grab that Season, well, hell, we have to, actually. Because it's either sack and grab it, or we're giving them the 5/3 that they can then swing in with and sack and grab thereafter, so. Gotta do it to them. And we gotta exile a Kroxa of theirs as well. Try and keep that threat low. So, resolve that. They can free swing in the sky now if they want to. They're going to. Makes sense. Exiling my Lourdes. Sure. Alright, we're going down to 8. They still have 4 mana available, but that's not enough to pull the Kroxa out because they don't have 5 other cards. Just pulling Gigantha over. Okay, that makes sense. Back to my turn. Let's mill a card, then we'll see which cards we want to exile. Triumph Mountain. Pretty easy. And a Luminarch. Luminarch gets played. They still don't have enough in the graveyard to do anything, really. Go next to combat. If I swing in with the Egon, they definitely block with the Mire Triton, and I don't have the assured knowledge that we're going to be able to take them out come next turn, right? So I can swing in with the 3/3 for sure. I feel like the rest we got to keep back, so let's do it. Hit them. Get them. Attack. Unless they have the 1 mana instant speed red spell. Decide on how they want to block this. If they block with the Triton, that does open up the ground pathways for us to attack. Of course, they may have an answer for our Predator in the sky, so they may just be content with taking out our creatures. But no, they're going to trade out a Crusher for it. Fine by me. That is oh so very fine by me. All right. We're down to 8. They have 18, but we do still have a blocker in the sky and arguably a better ground defense. If we can take out their Valky, we do get our Bone Crusher back, so that is, of course, something to remember. They're getting down the Croak, so we're going to go down to 5 life here. Luckily, they're only left with 1 mana, which means they shouldn't have any answers for our Predator here. So they're pretty much just banking on the Croaks to swing in, yeah? Showdown. Okay. Showdown's okay. It's just okay. Land we could have used. That's alright. This land would have equated to Yorion coming down. Embercleave. Embercleave is interesting. Embercleave does guarantee 16 points of damage from Egon, which puts them to... Not 16, I'm sorry, 13, which puts them to 5 life. If we could somehow... Oh, man. Okay, so this gives us 18, 15 points of damage with Egon. We're blocking like this so we can move the Yorion over. And if they make us discard, you know, they make us discard. It is what it is. So. Still have the 2 blockers, which means we could still follow up. I feel like there's something I'm missing though, right? This is 15. They're down to 1. Moving this won't do anything for us. I think we got to move the Yorion over, right? Am I missing something? Village Rice, and they sacrifice their own Valky. And they give me back my Bone Crusher, which means they have to have lethal here, right? Oh man, I'm on the edge of my seat. Not really, I'm sitting back and sitting up. Sort of crooked. But, yeah, man, this is a stressful game. Tibble. Tibble. Ah, it is GG. GG.